Welcome to Project Synapse, our weekly discussion about AI with our panelists. Marcel Gagne, consultant, author, novelist. Some may know of him from his decade-long Cooking with Linux column, now AI expert. John Pinard, a cybersecurity expert and VP with a financial institution. And me, host of #Trending and Cybersecurity Today, and the author of what is becoming a hot seller this summer, Elissa, A Tale of Quantum Kisses. It's a sci-fi AI adventure story that explores a world that was looking more and more like what we're seeing today. Now, so we're going to get to OpenAI, the launch, but first I want to run through some notes of what's happened in the past 2 weeks. At least 2 published reports of developers losing all their code with an IDE from Replit and Google Gemini. Anthropic's model control protocol, why do I always have trouble saying that, was implicated in a security weakness, is sort of a mild thing for it. Turns out when you implemented a routine once, Anthropic's MCP decided, well, it's safe now forever. And so changes made to this routine would just be propagated into MCP. It would be safer for me to list the number of IDEs or integrated development environments that used AI that didn't have a disaster or a hack over the past 2 weeks, but I can't think of one. So if you can, then that's great. And then at Black Hat this week, a group did a presentation based on their paper I love the title, Invitation is All You Need. It's a take on the 2017 Google paper that announced the transformer architecture that said that attention is all you need.
Yep.
And they detailed 14 different ways to do prompt injection, the scariest of which is a calendar invite with buried instructions that tell Google to send an email with private information. That's just one of 14 different attacks. Do you realize that it hasn't been since like Paul Simon with 50 ways to leave your lover that we've had this big a list of cheating, right, in here? So 14. So, and this is revealed.
Jack.
Yeah. This is revealed just when everybody, like Google's always been able to read your email, but now we've got Comet from Perplexity that can link up with your Gmail. And yesterday, OpenAI's GPT-5, what can it do? Read your Gmail. So this is beyond that. That's the security front from what's happening.
Or the lack of security front.
Yeah.
So John, should we just shut it all down?
Yes.
Yeah.
Back to pencil and paper.
Yeah. Well, that's security. That alone would have been an incredible 2 weeks. Then there's Mark Zuckerberg, who, if you can spell AI and not make a mistake with more than 50% of the letters, he'll pay you $1 million to come and work for him, or $100 million.
Plus a signing bonus.
And he's, plus a signing bonus.
I can spell it.
Mark, well, AI, man. Yeah. So, but
I'll even tell you how awesome you are, Mark.
So everybody was losing team members, but not as many as you might have thought. That was an interesting thing. It was how few people actually made the move, but enough people did. And of course, even Elon Musk lost part of his team just today. So the apparently working for Grok is not as pleasant a job as one might think, apparently.
I was going to say, were they leaving Grok or going somewhere else?
Who knows?
Those are two completely different.
So were they leaving Grok or were they leaving Elon?
Yes. That's who. So
that's the problem.
That's option 3.
I can't picture. Who wouldn't want to work for Elon Musk?
Elon, $100 million and I will go work for you.
It's like the old joke. We've established what you are. We're just talking about price. Okay. And then
I'll go down to 90.
And then
right.
Sam Altman over the past 2 weeks. What, did they take him off his meds? Like, he was talking about the Manhattan Project. He was talking about he was feeling useless. He kept going on podcast after podcast. Now, they used to have Mirai, the old COO, accompany him on these podcasts and I guess rein him in or whatever. But now he's off just blazing away about regrets. I've had a few, and AI is one of them.
They're all building bunkers right now.
God.
That's
all of
true.
that.
They're building bunkers.
And then GPT-5 launched yesterday. Like, does anybody? I'm tired, guys. This was exhausting. What did I miss? I'm sure I missed a ton of stuff.
Well, I've been away for a week in Blue Mountains, and I've been sort of chilling and ignoring most of this. Actually, that's not true. I've been scrolling every evening, going, "What now?" But during the day, at least,
We almost believed you, Marcel.
Yes.
Yeah.
He only spent 30 hours a day playing with the toys.
I thought they were going to release it on the 5th. I thought GPT-5 would be released on the 5th. I thought it would have been perfect. Instead, what do they do on the 5th? They put out a thing. First of all, on the 5th, he puts out a picture of a Death Star rising over Alderaan, like WTF.
Oh, I missed that.
What?
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, is he off his meds? I mean, Sam.
He's got no one to hold the leash.
It's the freaking Death Star.
Yeah. I mean, it was make fun of Sam Altman week. My favorite was, I think, from Elon Musk, who pointed out that Sam Altman, who claims he only makes $70,000 a year from OpenAI, is driving a $2 million car.
Yeah.
Elon, he's not taking salary. No, he doesn't have to. He's get billions. They
he has $400 million, but he'll point out that he's not taking his salary. And I'm doing
Elon. Elon.
Yeah.
John and I will like,
Marcel, 25 million.
Okay. So that's the week that was. We're going to get to GPT-5 last, okay? If that's okay with you guys, because that'll keep us on track, because I want to talk about the security issue, because this was the week that and I've been saying this for some time, we're stupid about implementing technology. My premise is that this has little to do with AI and everything to do with the stupid way we implement technology. The scene I gave when I was talking to some other people was, I still remember sitting at a desk in the middle of the evening with a friend of mine, Joe Accardo. I think I can say this after this many years. We were working on a 4GL project 30 years ago, and it was going to collapse under its own weight. And we were like 9 months in and millions spent. And we realized this isn't going to go well for our careers. But what saved us? Everybody else was doing the same thing. We'd all drank the Kool-Aid, got way down the development track. But in those days, it took you a year. It took you 18 months and presentations to steering committees. You had other people there. Now, in 2 weeks, you can destroy your development team. And it was but the thing was, as I looked at all these things, and yes, there are problems, and yes, there are things we should be doing. But I asked myself, what the hell are you doing with a tool this new in production with no air-gapped backup of your source code, and you're just saying, well, it made my source code disappear? It's like, is anybody thinking?
No.
Well, can I just throw something in here, first of all? Okay. I'm not defending this, just for the record, okay? But every time I see a horror story like this, I think to myself, the real problem here is scale. The speed at which we're launching these things, at which we're doing these, all about scale. Because the fact of the matter is, all of these problems happen at every stage of development. And Jim pointed out, he says it would take a year before you figured it out. Now you find out about it 5 minutes later, okay? And is that necessarily a bad thing? The other thing too is, on a lot of these things, they are so incredibly, and again, I'm not saying we shouldn't be more careful. I just want to be careful and make that clear here. When we're releasing something that's so insanely, incredibly, viciously complicated, I mean, we're approaching the singularity here in a few years, okay? Where we have passed the point where any human is able to keep up with or predict what's going to happen. So when you've got systems that are these complex, you're never going to catch all of the problems, ever. It doesn't matter how long you work at it, what it is that you do beforehand, something's going to happen. And you know what? Every time something like this happens, again, I'm not saying we shouldn't be more careful, but everything that happens, the repair and the solution to it is relatively quick. Like, for instance, the whole Replit thing, Replit was confused. It did not actually delete the database. It didn't delete it, and it was able to roll back the code. So there was a way to fix this. Now, I'm not saying this isn't a bad thing. I mean, if I'm the guy sitting there and I'm working, especially if this, I'm working for somebody else or somebody is expecting work from me, I'm going to have a fucking heart attack when this happens. Okay. But it didn't actually happen, at least in one of these cases with Replit. The big one that showed up, the first one that showed up in the news, there was no database delete and the rollback happened perfectly.
My favorite about the Replit one was that the AI denied it did anything. It was, you talk about having an AI team member. This was just like anybody on the team. I didn't do it.
You're a team member.
Or, I'm really sorry, I've disappointed you. I've let you down terribly. It's stealing my excuses. But you remember those people that you'd meet when they'd have a total disaster and they'd always amaze you to your face. They'd go, I own up to that.
But the frightening thing, though,
I have no idea what happened, but I take full responsibility for it anyway.
But the frightening thing with this, for me, is that things are happening, exponentially faster than they used to. And the problem with that is that, not only the speed, but the number of changes that are happening is exponential. And we're getting further and further down the rabbit hole of poor code, poor security, and the rest of that it's going to get to the point where it's tougher and tougher to dig our way out. We've talked about security being built in, not bolt on. It's almost at the point now of, well, if you don't say that word, then it doesn't really exist, right? You don't say that S word, then you don't have to worry about it. And they talk about it with pharmaceutical testing, that there's an allowable error. It frightens me where we're going to end up. I understand that things are moving fast, but if they don't change the way they do things soon, I'm afraid that we're going to end up at a point where
there is no turning back. We're past that point. Short of, that's why at the beginning there, I said, John, should we just shut the whole thing down? And you went, yes. Maybe
yes.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think that's the choice that we're at the moment. Either we shut the whole thing down or we keep on going and we deal with the problems as they come.
Or we actually think this through logically. And this is where I get down to
bingo.
You're still working.
That's exactly what I would say.
In the world out there, we have to grapple with this. We just have to realize the problems are the same. They're just happening faster. Marcel said that.
That's scary.
We've always done the same thing. We get to the top of the hype cycle. We implement technology. It fails us and breaks our hearts. We go into the valley of despair. Things break. Things happen. It's just happening a lot faster. But I think that's one of the places where I've been saying security people have to have the talk with management now.
Yeah.
To say, we can't stop these tools. Not possible. But we have to have a controlled way of implementing them. And that's what the thing that I'm going crazy about is, you might want to try a smaller project.
Well,
you might want to try.
May I suggest backups?
What a brilliant idea!
An air-gapped backup.
All of these tools, I don't know about Replit. I can't speak for Replit, but I can tell you that Cursor and Windsurf and a whole bunch of these other tools actually integrate with Git. Okay? As in, if you're serious about doing this, if you're just farting around, it doesn't really matter, except this time I'm using an otter instead of a penguin. If that's all you're doing, then no biggie, no big loss. But if this is really an important project and this is something that you need going forward, you tie it into Git, and then you've got to roll back regardless of what the tool does.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember back in the day when our word processors, those of us who remember this stuff far back, remember that we spent every 15 seconds, Control S, Control S, Control S. Why? Because the application might crash and take the document we've been working on for 2 hours with it.
Oh yeah.
Right?
We all learned about backups the hard way.
So this is actually something that we need to think of today. Is it important? Then take backups. Is it really important? Then tie into a Git repo, so that all of your changes are there and you can roll back on all this.
And I think that the onus is both. One would expect that the tool will keep your data or your application safe. But you're right. I think the onus is also on the individual. That if you're doing application development, make sure you have backups.
If you trust the technical tool to keep your data safe,
Yeah.
technology is breakable. Disks fry, viruses happen, ransomware happens, things just get deleted. It's like people have stopped realizing the motto of development is shit happens.
Yeah.
Like you've got to get it straight. So that's what I mean. It's time for people to have a talk with their development crews, and they need to do it now because these tools are there. And by the way, we have to give Replit good credit on this, right? This is and because it's easy to get into these tools all fall apart. The Replit team, the CEO himself got involved. They're obviously scanning, probably using AI to do that, but they're scanning social media. The CEO picked it up. He had a team in over the weekend who worked, fixed the problem, and restored the data. So it's, and that's where vendors really do make a difference. Google, on the other hand, there was another one happened at the same time. And what do you do with Google? You raise a work, like some sort of request, so that you can just feel better about it, typing something into your email, and then you go and forget about it because nobody at Google is going to help you.
Right? The Google was amusing because the Google one, it blamed, John will like this, it blamed the security constraints placed upon it for not being able to do the move of a folder. What it was trying to do was move something from another tool. The idea was it was like you move it from here into here, and security wouldn't allow it to look at the folder that it was moving from, and it just assumed that the other side took care of everything cleanly, as opposed to being able to check both sides. So it actually blamed Claude or whatever the security constraints that were placed upon it for the catastrophic failure. So I thought that was interesting.
It's just like another member of the team, If you had a new programmer coming in, never worked in your organization before, and you let them just sort of have total run of the place. Oh, here you go. You can delete anything. You can do whatever you want. You'd say, you should probably fire me. But did that. But we do it with a tool. And, the other piece of this is that it really comes down to the idea, you can't understand AI, but the architectures we're talking about, MCP is not a mystery. It's not ununderstandable. People need to be looking at these things and asking questions. And I think that's the same as you would do with any tool.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to me, MCP is just a conglomerate of a whole bunch of APIs, that builds it all into one place. And I mean, people had ways of testing APIs and so forth. So why is MCP any different? It should all be the same thing.
They also hard-code passwords into APIs.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me move this away from AI just for a second here. We've had mobile devices for several years now. You've got the Google Play Store, you've got the Apple Store, or
the App Store.
The App Store, thank you. Anyway, the fact is, those app stores have been around for a hell of a long time. And as much as Apple said, we value security above absolutely everything, there have always been rogue applications in the App Store, rogue applications in the Google Play Store, rogue browser plugins and extensions that are on the Chrome store. Unless somebody points out that there's a problem, or the tools that they have, however these tools work, randomly happens to land on this thing and say, let's check it for security concerns. These things can go on for years and cause an amazing amount of damage. My dad recently downloaded something from the Play Store that was it was some health monitoring tool, and it had like 4 stars on the Google Play Store. And what it did was it installed something that pops up ads every 30 seconds. So your phone is effectively unusable. It took me about 15 minutes to figure out what was happening. And even then, you couldn't actually see the tool. You had to go into the back end, and somebody like me had to go in and take a look at it to remove this thing. But the fact is, it was cleared on the Play Store. It had a really good rating on the Play Store. Somebody gamed all the reviews and so on. And, it showed like 500,000 people have installed this tool and love it. So that means there are 500,000 people out there who are basically being held prisoner by ads popping up every 30 seconds on their phone, and somehow it still got away with it. So yes, we're in the age of AI, and yes, there are problems that are happening in AI. But again, all the problems are due to the fact that this is now at scale, as opposed to somehow this is a new problem. You got to do backups. You got to check things before you install them on your system. You know, you can't just trust that the people who provide you with your phone.
Well, the same thing happened with Cursor, though. I mean, the Cursor problem, and there was a huge problem with Cursor having a routine that was loaded in from its development community. Now, the development community, granted that Cursor's open source, and everybody said, oh, you should have downloaded from the Microsoft store. It would have been more secure. We'll put that aside for now while people sit there and try and grapple with their on-premise servers for email that are blowing up right now as we speak. Microsoft can't stand up to we're the best at security. Outlook on premises, and it was last week it was SharePoint. Maybe you're not as safe with Microsoft as you think you are, maybe you are. But the Cursor piece was there's a community that supports Cursor, and there was a routine, and the developers saw it. You even checked the name of the developer that developed it was the same, except instead of an L, it was I think they substituted one of the letters. So
capital I, probably.
Instead of, they used a capital I instead of an L, or slid by, so it looked like the exact developer's name. It had 54,000 downloads, and it was the most popular routine in there. So this guy downloads this for Cursor, blows up in his face. And that's the type of thing that can happen. The things we've told people before, always trust a store, always trust a developer. The rules we've been setting in development don't work anymore. That's a problem. No. When the advice to always trust a reliable source, always go to the reliable sources or stores, when that breaks down, that has a big impact in companies.
Yeah. Now it's always exercise caution, regardless of where it comes from.
One of the problems, of course, is that we have to train people and we have to teach them how to be careful with these things. And we have to give them the tools to recognize when something sounds too good to be true, for instance. Yep. But the fact of the matter is there are a number of exploits. I like purposely, siding this away from AI on purpose, just to show that this isn't actually a new thing. Because it's great, we want to beat up on AI and all the security problems associated with it, but we haven't dealt with security problems that have existed for a long time. I guarantee you that there are unpatched servers out there that still have that Heartbleed bug, which is from back in 2014 that hasn't been fixed yet. Tor had a directory exploit. Like Tor, the secure freaking dark web browser, had an exploit in place that went for 10 years without anyone noticing that it was in place. Microsoft had their PKI, the secure key thing, to show that software was safe. And that was another 10 years without anybody noticing. And in fact, as far as I know, it's still there in a lot of the Microsoft Store repositories. So who the hell do you trust? I mean, all you can do, I think, is bring up the fact that these problems exist and deal with them as they happen. And the superpower that we've been given that is so frightening because of what it can do is the tool that we should use to examine these things. There should be a $1 billion idea here. There should be a company out there that uses a powerful AI like, GPT-5, that basically routinely scans applications out there, takes them apart to see what the issues are, suggests fixes, posts them publicly on the internet so that the things can be dealt with. Like, there's a great use for this scary thing.
I think you were saying a minute ago, Marcel, about taking AI out of the picture for a second. I agree. The security issues and privacy issues and all the rest of that is nothing new. We've been dealing with these for years. The issue that you run into is that when you get something like artificial intelligence, that is so incredibly fast, and B, that is changing so incredibly frequently, that's the part that to me adds to the mix of it, or to the mess of it, that it just makes it that much more frightening from a security standpoint. That it's not you get one email that comes in and you have to deal with it or whatever. Now you're getting, potentially thousands of things impacted because the AI just goes hog wild.
Well, there's also the idea that we have, we have millions of users, and that number is growing all the time. I think daily active users, OpenAI last week claimed that they've just surpassed 700 million.
Yeah, they added about 200 million
daily,
a week.
Yeah, daily active. That's not like, monthly active. That's daily active that are on using this stuff constantly. That's a hell of a lot of people. And, you're creeping up on like 1/10 of the population of planet Earth is using and that's just ChatGPT. That's none of the other services.
Yeah, that doesn't include the other tools.
Every single day, right?
So one of the things that advise though is people need to really think this through. If you're going to hook up an AI to your email and your calendar, I wouldn't make that your corporate email, first of all. But you also have to get to the point where you don't send passwords by email. You don't put bank account numbers in your email. And this is the type of thing that we need to start to be thinking of, is that we need to change the idea that somehow we're going to be able to protect ourselves by some magic, because it's not going to happen.
Agreed.
That's something that I think I am using an experimental email right now, one that I don't put confidential information into. And that's what I'm using to test. Oh, I'll give that to you right now. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Send it to me in chat. That way nobody can see it.
Oh, yeah, because chat is really encrypted. So that nobody can find that out. The other thing that happened this week that just blew me away was all of these chats you have with ChatGPT are turning up in Google searches. So,
I heard about that.
No. It all depends on how you...
Nope. Yeah. Please, yes and no. We prefer facts to my unsubstantiated exaggeration.
You're substantiated. You are correct. But it depends on whether you've got how you can share. And if they actually remove this, if I understand correctly, and in fact, I should see whether I can share a chat with you guys. Can I still do that? This conversation may include blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it still allows it. But anyway, there was something about the idea of maybe making it so that you couldn't share a chat, because it's chats that you share as soon as you create a public link to a conversation that you've got in ChatGPT. That's what becomes public, and that's what you can search on. If it's your own personal stuff, like the conversation that you're having, those, as I understand it, again, I have to believe what they're saying.
Until otherwise notified.
But so if you're sharing a link with somebody, then yes, all of a sudden that becomes a public link, and it can be searched in a Google search and so on. However, if it's just a conversation that you're having in ChatGPT, no, it does not come up in Google searches, or at least that's the way they explained it.
But they are retained. Any place they are retained, they can be stolen, or worse, because it's an American company, the American government can ask for it, and they have to give it to them. That's the Cloud Act. So
damn
whatever maybe we really need to start thinking about a Canadian AI, because it's time. But that's another story. So that's our security roundup. So just to wrap this up, I've admired the problem. The solution,
and it's a beautiful problem. It's a gorgeous problem.
Yeah. The solution is what? The solution is not stop. That's not happening.
No.
You can claim you want to stop this all you want. You're not going to do it. But that's what I think was behind Sam Altman's little minor breakdown for the past couple of weeks. This stuff is moving too fast, possibly even for him.
Marcel and I were talking. It's a sales pitch. It's a sales plug.
Great. I love this. Come on. Tell me more.
Well, it's just, if you talk about a tool that, oh my God, it can do this. And people here go, it can? Oh, I got to go try that out. Let's go see what it can do. So I don't know. I mean, I'm being somewhat cynical with that, but I can also see, maybe Sam Altman had an awakening that he thought, oh my God, what have we created? Not what have we created, but how it could potentially be misused. I don't know. I mean, I was talking to Marcel about
it's a sales job.
Yeah, no, but I mean, look at it this way. It's like, my God, this product that we're about to release onto the world is so incredibly, amazingly awesome. It frankly terrifies me. In fact, I've had trouble sleeping for the 5 nights as we prepare for the launch for this thing. Like, it's really been bad. In fact, that's why I posted the Death Star coming up over Alderaan, because you're looking for love in Alderaan places. Anyway, it's like so incredibly, amazingly scary. Oh, by the way, here it is. Everybody in the world can use it today.
Yeah. And all that's going to do is make people want to use it.
It's the hide machine.
Oh, wow.
I'm not saying that there isn't a possibility for something nefarious to happen if you put incredibly powerful technology in everybody's hand. But, to quote Syndrome from that famous movie, The Incredibles, when everyone is super, no one will be. And, we're basically making everybody super at this point. So,
Yeah.
Can we talk about age verification?
Yes, we can. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we have to talk about GPT-5, otherwise people are going to kill us.
We have to. Yeah. Well, they'll take my podcaster license.
They will kill. No, they'll kill you, Jim, because you're the one that wants to hold
thank you. They'll kill
Because his says host.
His says host, and he's the guy that said we'll get to GPT-5, but
we'll get to GPT-5. We're 42 minutes into the hour, so we got to.
So age verification. Let's talk about age verification. One of the things that got rolled out, and one of the things that I have been saying for ages now, like this can only end badly, is this whole age verification BS that the UK government has put out, that Texas is trying to force on people. I need to see some kind of identification. I need to verify that you were an adult before you view the content on this site. Whether it's Pornhub or whether it's playing GTA 5 or whatever, I need some proof that you're an adult before you're allowed to see this particular content. Did you hear about the app called T?
Yes.
An app for
women?
God,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I run a cybersecurity podcast, right?
Okay, so you covered. So Jim, do you want to give the TLDR?
T was a forum or a group where women who were trying to have safety in dating could share stories, they could share experiences, and it was supposedly a secure environment. And of course, you had to prove who you were. So they took information, which in some cases was pictures and driver's licenses.
Like
yeah.
And they saved them. Now, not that they didn't take them, because we'll get into the ID piece of this in a second, but they saved them and they left them online, along with all of these other pictures and other, discussions that people had. There have been 2 big hacks, and if there's anything left of T that hasn't been exposed, and this is terrible because these are women who are there because they're trying to increase their safety, or maybe they've had a bad experience or whatever, and they are now being re-victimized by a bunch of
on 8chan and 4chan and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the T story. And
anyway, so the T story is a similar sort of thing. So all of these sites, so instead, personally, I don't have anything against some kind of identification on the internet that proves who you are. I've been saying this for years. You're going to have to do something like this to be able to prove, not that you can't use a pseudonym on the internet, but the pseudonym is tied to a legitimate piece of information that is maintained by, wait for it, your government. In the same way that your government maintains your driver's licenses, maintains your social insurance number, or in the States, your social security number, that sort of thing. Like, you're going to need something like that, because as soon as you put all that information in the hands of the poor schmuck who runs the website, and you're saying you have to, and part of the problem, Jim, is they have to keep the information in case somebody asks for it. Okay. So now you're giving people all over the place saying you have to maintain this information, and they don't have the infrastructure, the security, the way to maintain all this stuff, because they can't afford to do all that. They can't afford the lawyers to protect them from indemnification when stuff like this happens. Invariably happens. Let's make that point, because it's going to happen. Every site, it's not a question of if you're going to get hacked. It's a question of when you're going to. I mean, as you're a security guy, you know this, John.
This is
this is the frightening part about it, is that it's bad enough that they're taking this information and they're keeping it. But as you said, it's not a matter of if you're going to be hacked, it's when you're going to be hacked. And, you get some of these bad actors that find out about this website and go, oh, geez, they're keeping driver's licenses and things. I'm going to go hack them, get copies of all these driver's licenses, and now I can use it for all kinds of bad things.
This is insane. And this is where, we all tolerate the tinfoil hat people The people who go,
children,
my government's never going to get my ID. At one point or another, you're going to have to understand those people who are making all this noise about the government ID and not having a digital ID are the ones who are putting you at risk. Why? Yes. There is a little country in Europe, Estonia. It has maybe 1 million people in it. They've had digital ID in the face of an untrusted government that was coming out of the Soviet Union. They put together digital ID. You know what their digital ID does? It doesn't store the information. It proves that you have the right to do this. So now what you carry around, you show people is, I have proof I have the right to drive. This is a digital certificate, and it says I have the right to drive. Here's a digital certificate that says I'm 19 years old and I can vote, and I can buy alcohol. They don't turn over your identity. We are these people, and they drive me friggin' nuts because we put up with stupid people who put us at risk. Because now I've got to go in and get my driver's license with my name on it, with identification proves that I'm of age. I'm tired of the Luddites that are
I agree
to move, because that's what we need. But again, these idiotic politicians, and fueled by their MAGA mouth breathers, are going to keep us less secure. And people should get angry about it, and they should turn to these people and say, no, I'm not putting up with you. Forget this unite the right stuff in politics. Unite the bright, the people who actually can tie their own shoes. That's what we need. This is just crazy. And we expose these women and we expose people to this risk because we're too stupid to get a proper digital ID.
So do you mean too lazy? Let's just make it so that, it's entirely up to you. You deal with the problem. Don't want to be.
So are you saying that having a little checkbox that says, I am 21 isn't secure enough?
No. I'm not a robot, except that I'm having a robot fill that in.
Did you see somebody actually posted this? They were using OpenAI's agent to search the web and to fill out information to do research for them. You know how to open? I showed you this like 2 weeks.
Yeah, the cupcake thing.
Open the cupcake thing, right? Anyway, so the AI went and clicked the box that says, I am not a robot to continue.
I tried that. I couldn't replicate that experiment. I tried it and I couldn't replicate it. And it may just be the captcha that we'd use. But I got to tell you, I've used the agents, and this is we're going to talk about GPT-5 in a minute, but agents are incredible. I sent it off to our site to say, send a note to Jim and put the GPT agent. This is before GPT-5. I said, send a note to me and put this in it. It went to the site, read the site, figured out there was a contact us form, went back into it, didn't know what name it should use, but it figured it's me, so it filled in my name, sent the contact form to me. It blew me away. That was just we went from cupcakes to this. This stuff is advancing so much, and it's just a matter of time until it communicates with and figures out how to get past CAPTCHAs and all that. That's just
too late. It's already done it.
Yeah.
So shall we talk about GPT-5?
Let's talk about GPT-5. It happened yesterday. I did a story on it. So if you're a hashtag trending listener, you already got the story on this yesterday. So if you didn't listen to this, the heck with you. So
we'll just put a link to the hashtag trending podcast and you're good.
What I'm pointing out is they've already heard from me. What do you guys think?
First of all, I went and posted in our little private chat yesterday. It's it's out. And John, unfortunately, apparently has an Apple product of some sort, and he wasn't able to.
It has nothing to do with the Apple product.
But it basically, as soon as it came out, I think this was one of the amazing things. It was another one of these things. Remember when OpenAI used to put out these things and say, you should see this over the next coming months as we roll it out slowly. Now we're up to the point where it's and we're rolling it out today. So by the end of the day, you should all have it. As in all of you on planet Earth should have it at that point. And yesterday, of course, it came up and I started playing with it at that point. Did you watch the demo that they did?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The demos were incredible, actually. And as I said, well, no, but I said if 80% of what they did, because anybody can do anything in a demo, but if 80% of what they did is factual, this is incredible. That application they wrote, That was amazing. That's,
it was a one shot, basically.
A one shot, one line.
Characters.
Yep.
Yeah. With characters that respond to you in real time that you can stop and have conversations with and so on. One of the people that I follow on this, Ethan Mollick, did one where he basically said, I want a city simulation game. Like he did a one prompt city simulation game. And it went out and it created something where it would generate like 3D buildings and stuff like that. And then he added one additional line, which was something like, make it more interesting. And at that point, it started adding traffic lights and colors and rotating things where you can rotate the 3D city all over the place and cars moving in and out, traffic patterns. And it did this one shot, this stuff without you having to tell it much of anything. Now, one of the things there are some interesting things about GPT-5. First of all, I want to address the meltdown that came out as soon as it came out. And then we can talk about the wonderful things behind it or the cool things behind it. But the meltdown to me was interesting, and it happened almost instantly. A couple of things. First of all, people pointed out that while the demo was really interesting and the product and what they showed up was really interesting, the people are getting more boring all the time. Doing the demo. It's like, instead of doing it live, why don't you record it and try to put a little bit of polish on it? I know why they're doing it live, but it looks unpolished and they look like people who are not comfortable in front of a camera. Unlike us who are like old pros at this.
No, but I was wondering, did Elon Musk or did Zuckerberg hire all the good people? These people are ill-prepared, but I think that they do that on purpose. They look like so? They have no guile. This one lady comes on and says, I haven't coded in 3 years, and then she does something.
And I think that may be partly so they can show that your normal, everyday, ordinary human can do this stuff. That it's not just the polished OpenAI folks that have been playing with this thing for months can use it. I think that they're doing it to show that it's just, the same thing with all of the other, the 12 days of Shipmas and all the rest of that. It was always 2 or 3 people sitting at a small table, nothing super fancy or anything. It was just a couple of folks sitting around chatting about the new toys that are coming out, right? That unlike some like Apple, that it's all fanfare and everything, other companies too. I think
whatever it is, this was intentional.
Yeah.
That's the key thing. Whether it was right or not, it was intentional.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
But they showed an application that they wrote, and I'm going to give you the dark side of the negative side of this after this, but I'll give you the positive side first of all, because they wrote a dashboard, and the dashboard was friggin' gorgeous. And even and they wrote it with one prompt as best I could see, and you could click on it and you could see that it would do those nice things that dashboards do. It would give you displays and all of that sort of stuff. Just beautiful. Now, the real trick is because the first comment I made was, if I had my job was all in Excel, and what do people do in Excel? They create charts. That's what they do. If you've got an Excel jockey in your place, first of all, if they're building huge things with all kinds of formulas and stuff in them, fire them now, because you got a disaster happening. But they always make these great looking charts. They take all this data. And one of them happened under the radar with this whole idea, and I think it was Google came out with it. Google's published an open source way of taking text to data, but that's a huge thing. But this thing was taking data and making it beautiful. Now, today, I have GPT-5, even though I've got an Apple computer. I got on, and you know what I did? I went and said, what I really want to do is I want to make a marketing document. It wrote the text brilliantly. Absolutely brilliantly. I stumbled through it. Talk about saving time. I'm sitting there, I'm uninspired. I got a deadline. So I go and I put in, here's the list of things this thing has to cover. It came back with a beautiful document. The writing from GPT-5 is absolutely astonishing. But could I get it to friggin' format the document into a PDF with some nice colors and margins? Nope. Always something spilling over the edge, always something there. And always something that just is one step away from being able to use this effectively. And that's, now they fixed this in, they'll get there. They fixed this in graphics. I don't know. The thing that used to drive me crazy was I'd try and do a graphic and it would always put some stupid wrong spelled text in there, or I'd get a beautiful looking graphic and there'd be some little thing and I couldn't get it to clean it up. And I tried the think deeper about this, couldn't make it happen. So that's the thing. If you really want this stuff to be used in corporate life, the exotic demos aren't what matter. It's, can I do something functional in my everyday life? And that's where I'm struggling right now. And by next week, I may have more for you, but I'm not sure.
You know, Marcel and I were chatting last night, and I was going in to get into GPT-5. And I go onto my phone. The only thing I could get, was 4.0, 4.1, 4.1 mini. I couldn't get 5. I couldn't get it when I went to a web browser, not on my Mac, but just to a web browser. I've got Plus. I've got ChatGPT Plus. Yeah. I logged in, and it was only taking me to 4.0, 4.1, 4 mini, or 4.1 mini. This morning, my web browser now takes me to GPT-5. But my the app on my iPhone is still not GPT-5.
It's just a rollout issue. They're rolling this out worldwide. And this is the crazy thing. This is just making me sort of really wonder. They're rolling this out to everyone, including free users.
Yes.
I don't know what bills Altman is running up right now.
Oh, yeah.
But this is the biggest market share grab in the history of mankind. Like, they've got to be spending billions a year. Another 200 million people come on. They're many of them free. I'm still paying for it. I'm sort of wondering why I am.
Yeah, me too.
I'll tell you why. But anyway.
Yeah. No, but because I have basically an unlimited, more or less, usage of this now.
Yeah, it's limited access for the free version.
But but they've given this away to everybody, and this is absolutely incredible. Which, by the way, just so you guys may not have caught this, OpenAI is giving its software to the American government for $1.
$1. I'll buy that for $1.
I mean, we are seeing the biggest investment in market share grab ever. And if they can't demonstrate the revenue from this, there's going to be one total massive blowout, because somebody got to pay for this stuff. Like this, this is real money that came from somewhere. It's just going to be really interesting. Somebody better have a revenue model, or as Desi Arnaz was so famous about saying, Lucy got some splaining to do, and that splaining is going to be to the stock market.
Yes.
I want to point out that for about 10 years, Amazon made no money whatsoever, but they managed to destroy the independent bookstore industry, including most of the big bookstores and so forth, so that everybody basically went to Amazon. And now they have become the drop shipper for the entire world, running and making absolutely zero money and doing nothing but losing money for year after year after year after year. So
and AWS did the same thing. Yep. And they gave billions in 2020 to the American government. They're following the same strategy. I get it. But you know something? That's when Amazon follows that strategy and nobody else does. What about when everybody follows that strategy? Like, nobody's going to give ground to Amazon. Amazon got market share. They're at least 10 points ahead of Microsoft still in terms of their hosting business and their cloud business. And that's because they came in gangbusters, and they took that same strategy that helped them take over bookstores. But I don't think anybody's actually thought about, what do you do when everybody does it?
Well, oops. Yes. Yeah. But I think that basically we're also in a world where the end looks so amazing and so incredible and so rich making that it is worth spending everything and anything you can get your hands on in order to achieve that end. And I think that's where we are. This is an arms race.
I haven't heard that since 2003, the day before. I heard that in 2003 too.
The company that reaches an ASI or an AGI before everybody else could conceivably run the world.
They're not going to.
And that is just too rich.
And that's true.
Not to go after it.
That's true. But what the crazy thing is, what makes you think one company will get there first?
Oh, I'm not suggesting that. But I'm saying that because these stakes are so high, okay, if you're not going after it, you're not playing. It's that simple, you know. And really, we should totally do a show on open source models, because one of the things that I want to hit the GPT-5 meltdown as well. But earlier this week, 2 days before they released GPT-5, what did they release? Think about it. They released 2 open source models.
It runs on your PC. Got it.
I was on holidays. For people who actually don't know, I got here just 2 hours ago. So like I got here, prepped, ate some lunch, and then jumped into this recording. But I am in the process of downloading the 20 billion parameter GPT OSS open source. AI has finally, after all this time of promising they would do it, released 2 rather large and rather powerful open source models. And as I understand it, apparently even the 20 billion parameter one is as good as the O3 mini model. And it's something that you can run entirely locally on your own PC. John, you'll be happy to know it doesn't share data with anybody out.
Oh, good.
It is like your own personal AI. Okay. And that's the other thing. And that has been overshadowed by GPT-5. Not surprising.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
Well,
but it's been overshadowed despite the fact that this is a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
If
sure.
it's as good as they say.
This is like the 12 days of shipmess. The marketing of OpenAI has even surpassed, they beat themselves this time. That open source thing, but and Google's open sourcing of taking raw text to structured data. There's so much happening. Think about it. 85% of data in companies is dark data. When they created OpenAI, they had to pay 1 million people, or I don't know, tons of people in Africa to go through and label data. The guy who's working that Zuckerberg hired, I can't forget the name of the company, but he's the president of this big AI company. What were they created to do? Label data.
Yep.
Which, of course, it isn't going to be necessary.
And that's why I think he made the run to Zuckerberg. If he's figured it out too, there's probably these guys.
Take the money. Call me.
We got 10 minutes or so.
The meltdown. So the thing that you're going to notice if you got GPT-5, and it looks a little bit different on the browser and on the mobile app, but not a whole hell of a lot. But here's what it looks like. So you go to ChatGPT, and you notice up at the top that it says GPT-5, and there's a drop down underneath of the GPT-5 that says other models. So the only thing it says is GPT-5 flagship model, nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay. The drop down says GPT-5 thinking. And then of course there's a thinking for a hell of a long time version that you get for $200 a month. And the meltdown that happened. Okay. Now, to be fair, OpenAI did say, like Sam Baby was, Daddy Sam Baby was in an interview a few weeks back where he said, we're going to make this simpler for you. Instead of having 30 models in the drop down, O3 Mini, O3 Mini-3235, thinking, blah, blah, blah. The company that got there first was Google, who went to GPT 2.5, fast and pro. And that's it. That's all there is. That's all there is on the main page. But AI has now done the same thing, and people are freaking out. They're saying, I'm paying $20 a month, and I expected to have my 4.0 and my 3.0
You're kidding.
and my 0.3. And no, people are freaking out.
Yeah.
People are saying things like, I'm going to cancel my subscription to OpenAI because they just deleted all those other models and got rid of them. And I expect to be able to get these models that I'm paying for and to do all these things without understanding that is all of those things wrapped into one.
Combined.
They should get a message. You're too stupid to use AI. Like, I'm sorry, but what part did they sleep through? People are going to say, I'm not this nasty, but some things just set me off. One of them is, before you talk, you might listen. Because one of the things I picked up from there, and we covered it in the story, but also went through the text again, just to make sure I got it right. I thought it was brilliant. You have GPT-5. It will automatically figure out what processing it needs. Thank you. I don't want to figure out whether it's 3 or 4.1 or what. I got better things to do with my life. And you know what you got to do? Now, this is really hard. And I appreciate this, that these people might be sad. But you have to say, think harder. And if it didn't get deep enough with it, you just have to say, think a little deeper. And it will do that. I tried it this morning. Worked perfectly.
And the idea is that the model is going to think about the question that you asked and the request that you made and will bring to bear the tools that it feels are necessary to do that. And if you need more, you just ask for more, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you don't have to sit there and go, oh, let me see, I'm using O3 for this because, or O3 mini or, no, it'll figure that out for you.
Well, and to me, that makes a lot of sense from an end user standpoint because, I was looking last night and it's like, okay, so you've got 4.0, you had 0.1, you had 0.3, you've got 4.1, you've got 4.1 mini, and trying to remember now, what was this one especially good at, or this one, that if you can just do GPT-5 and ask it, let it figure it out.
I just love it. I edit this program with something, and I'll do a shout out for them called Descript. Descript or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I use that.
I use
Descript
as well.
And it is just fantastic. And they put in an AI they call Underlord, which I just love. Instead of Overlord, Underlord. I think that's so cool. But now, because I'm working on for the book, Alyssa, A Tale of Quantum Kisses, a little promotion there. I'm doing the audio version of that book. I've never done anything for Audible before. I'm doing all the reading. And guess what I can do? I could research how to prepare that for Audible, or I can say to the AI, this is for an Audible talking book. Could you please just prepare the sound? And it goes away and does it.
There you go.
I have no desire to, maybe some people just love this stuff, but I'm there to do the reading, do all that sort of stuff. And then I just handle it. I just think it's the ultimate. You're CEO of your own company now,
That's cool.
You remember a few weeks ago, you made the crack about you always use O3 because you want to get your money's worth out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening.
Okay.
I think it's this idea, well, how do I know that they're not cheating me out of my, 50 cents for this particular request that I'm making right now for a whole video game or something?
Exposed for the cheap bastard I am.
So, yeah. So in the end, the thing that's really most interesting, so the meltdown is really interesting to me because on one side, people are beating up, are beating up OpenAI about the lack of professionalism in the people who are doing the demo. And, you've come up with your own idea of why that is, Jim. And I think that might be right. In the same way that John and I came up that it was, hype to say, oh my God, the world is ending. Look at that. He has just put out a new book that I picked up on Audible. And the book is called Scary Smart. And it just came out. And I am thoroughly enjoying it. And I'll tell you more about it after I've had a chance to listen.
It is on my list. I want to do a summer reading program. And probably for one of our things, maybe next week we could do a 10-minute on what you're reading. Because I think that'd be fun for people. I'm still going through some Sawyer stuff. Mo Gaudet's on my list as well. And Mo, for the show, call me. He's brilliant. He's just brilliant.
Mark. I'm willing to go down to 50.
Yeah. There's the difference. Gagne is going 50 million. I'm going, I'll talk to Mo.
For free.
And I'm reading the Robert Sawyer trilogy right now still, and going through a lot of. I'm doing a Robert Sawyer.
That would be Wake, Watch, and Wonder. I take it.
Yeah, Wake, Watch, and Wonder is the next one. I was
okay. You're still in the Neanderthal for all of this.
I was finishing the Neanderthal ones, and then I got 4 actual books that I bought from him when I was at the book fair because he said nice things about me.
Wow.
And I have one, and I will show it to you. It says, Marcel was wrong. That's the dedication.
I do not believe it.
I want to see that.
Okay. Hang on.
That's priceless.
From Robert Sawyer.
Hold on. I got to take a screenshot here.
Jim, just so you know, we have what is going to become an official uniform for us for Project Synapse. Yeah. Marcel is going to model it for you.
That's the new Project Synapse uniform right from here on in.
Yeah. So that's our show. Thanks to John Pinard. Thanks to Marcel. And I'm your host, Jim Love. I'll be back with the tech news on Monday morning. Have a great weekend.
Live long and prosper.